Hello everybody and welcome to the Real Housewives Edit. My name is Elle and I'm here to talk about the two loves of my life, editing and housewives. Well, you guys, we are back in Potomac, my favorite city, my favorite franchise. I'm so excited to continue covering this with you. I feel like there are so many bits of drama that need to be tied up in this season, and I'm just so excited to kind of see how it all shakes out in this city. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. We surpassed 4,000 subscribers. I can't even believe it. I'm just not even gonna talk about it anymore because I just continue to not be able to believe it that we are growing like this. I actually made myself a goal this year to hit 10,000 subscribers. Now, I really hate telling people my goals because then if I don't make it, I feel strangely I don't know, embarrassed or something. But honestly, I don't really care. If I don't hit it, I don't hit it. But I was thinking because last year I started in May and now here we are in January and I have about 4,000. So don't you think we can get another 5,000 over the next year? What do you guys think? Is 10,000 too lofty or is it too low? I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I'm just so excited to continue to build this community. As you guys know, this is just a fun passion side project for me. If I was able to turn it into something more for myself where I could put more time into it, I would absolutely love it. So the more we grow this community, the more the chance of that happening where I can just literally talk housewives every single day. I mean, why not? Let's make it happen. We have enough content to do it. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe, tell your friends, all of this stuff. I keep teasing to you guys that I'm going to be doing more lives, but I haven't done them yet because I think I'm just low-key kind of scared about doing them, but I am definitely going to do one next week, so I will let you guys know when that's going to be. I really hope you can make it, or if you make the replay, no matter when you see it, hopefully you'll like it. The format is going to be different than my last live. It's gonna look a lot like this, and hopefully I'll be able to read your comments but not get distracted by your comments. And yeah, I think it's just gonna be a lot of fun. I really want to spend more time interacting with all of you, so let's do it. Let's just jump right into it. Okay, so right off the bat, we're getting a lot of White Lotus vibes with the music. We're getting this sort of tribal sound, and the music is building and building. It's almost got a Jaws feel to it. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Tension is building. And then these guys jump in the water as it ends, and it's sort of like a stinger on the end of the music. This type of music and this type of build up with sort of showing the nature and then having that stinger with the people jumping in the water, it's just to build a little tension, get us in the mood of ooh, something big is about to come in the scene coming ahead.
This is great.
Yes.
Robin, thank you.
Okay, so then they kind of establish we're back into this lunch, which we had actually started before the commercial break. So we get a little B-roll of the food, we get a little B-roll of the restaurant, that the women are eating. And then we open on Karen, and Karen saying thank you so much. It's a nice light moment to start out the conversation.
How are you and Ashley now? I just want to bring it up because it happened at my show, and you brought your friend to talk to Candiace.
Oh, is this your friend that you said was Chris?
Okay, so of course Karen is really good. I would say Karen is someone who I believe is really good at producing the show, as they say, but not producing in the way that she's trying. Well, okay, I'm gonna take that back. Sometimes I feel like Karen in the past has been a little bit trying too hard to make things happen. I love Karen, don't get me wrong, don't come for me, but I just think that sometimes I think these housewives think they need to do more than just be themselves. I think, the drama's great. We want all of that stuff, but sometimes just the delusion and sort of the drama that comes from the delusion is good enough for us as audience. I don't know what you guys think. You can tell me what you think in the comments below. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine. But when I see a housewife trying to push storylines and trying to make drama where maybe there isn't drama, I think they just underestimate the audience a little bit. And I do believe Karen has been a little guilty of that in the past. I file her under sort of a housewife who feels like they know more than the audience sometimes. And I'm like, the audience, we really see through it all. So you don't need to do much. Just being the grand dame, just being yourself is enough for us. But anyway, she's producing in the best way here, where she's bringing up something that we are all curious about. How are Ashley and Candiace doing? Are they friends again? Are they not friends again? We kind of love them as friends. We really love them as frenemies. So we kind of want to see where that is. And when she mentions it, of course, the editors take us into a flashback, because remember that scene, although it's fresh in my mind, it did happen a couple episodes ago. So they have to remind us.
You said Chris was grabbing on her?
Wasn't the only one he was giving googly eyes to at the bar.
Flirting with all your friends.
He was.
Girl.
Do you regret bringing the friend to the
So the music that they use there during the flashback is interesting.
Chris was grabbing on her?
Wasn't the only one he was giving googly eyes to at the bar.
Flirting with all your friends.
Remember, they're just kind of doing a highlight reel of the flashbacks. When they do those flashbacks, they don't show the entire scene. They're giving us a highlight reel, and they give us a little bit of music to sort of like push the drama along, to sort of be like, do you remember this? Do you remember how dramatic it was when, you know, when Deborah accused her of these things, and when Candiace like read her down at that show? So that's kind of why they add the music there.
show?
Okay, let me clarify this.
Okay, please.
The reason that I brought Deborah was because if someone was
So again, they have Ashley saying, you know, let me clarify. Music comes in a little bit like suspenseful kind of music. And then again, they show the women eating. They show Wendy eating. I think this really harkens to this sort of feeling of like eating popcorn while watching drama unfold. This is going to be my new opinion of this actual trope that editors do. They always, right in the middle of a dramatic moment, will cut to someone eating or drinking. And it's almost like they're giving a shout out to the audience. Like it might be something that we're doing, not necessarily eating or drinking, but we're leaning in, right? Like there's a little bit of a lean in moment when someone's like eating or drinking, sort of like, ooh, popcorn's here. Let's get the popcorn ready. Let's listen to what's happening here. Something could go down. It's so interesting to think about that these women on set, you know, we're sitting at lunch, they have no idea where it's actually going to go. I mean, some people like to say this stuff is scripted. I'm just never going to really go there. I don't think that it's scripted. I do believe, and I don't know this, but I do believe that the housewives do have a certain idea of what might be brought up at the lunch, right? So like producers get in there and they probably go to Karen and say, oh, Karen, make sure, you know, we really don't know what's going on with Ashley and Candiace. Maybe you want to talk about that, right? So they kind of have their producers like pushing along storylines a little bit, reminding them of things, you know, getting them kind of worked up about things. So I do think that that's going on, but I don't think that everyone at the table is really aware of what is going to happen exactly. I'm curious if they do or not, but I was just thinking about that, how interesting it would be to be sitting at that table, not know what's coming. And so you're sort of eating like, is there gonna be like a knockdown, drag out fight here? Or are we gonna have an apology? What's going on? Like, it's really just us, right? Same thing as us, but can you imagine actually being there at the table? I can't, that would be just too fun.
because if someone was saying that about Michael, I would want to hear it from that person's mouth. If you wanted to tell me that the cocktail waitress at MGM wanted to tell me about what Michael was doing, I'd be like, yes, where's she at?
Ashley, can I say something? I think that...
Okay, so I thought that was really interesting. It's not really that important, but you know, Ashley's going off about like saying like basically I was trying to be a good person. Okay, Ashley, like, okay. I love Ashley, by the way. I think she is one of the greats on The Housewives. I think she's wonderful. I think she's like controversial, but she's trying to say, you know, by bringing Deborah in, that was all for Candiace's benefit. Obviously, we know that wasn't really the case. But then they cut to Jacqueline for a very brief moment, and they even give her a chyron. I thought this was interesting. Ashley's talking about, like, she's talking about, I just want to be a good friend, and I would want you to tell me about something that went on. And then cutting to Jacqueline, not only just cutting to her, but also giving her the chyron to sort of remind us she's Mia's best friend. I was like, what is this? This has got to be alluding to something. Something is being alluded here. I don't know what it is quite yet, but I do think there's something there. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below why you think that they cut to Jacqueline in that moment, because I know it was intentional.
A lot of the way that you think about relationships is because the relationship that you are now out of.
Okay, so also remember, listen to the music that's kind of underneath.
Think about relationships is because
it's not like a train. It doesn't have this like big energy. It doesn't have like, oh, big dramatic moment is about to come. I call it kind of like a curious track. Like it's sort of got this low kind of like rumbling feel. And we as the audience should be hearing that track and being like, what is going to happen? Like, be kind of curious about it, leaning in, but it doesn't feel like something major is about to hit. Now, we all know that those things can change, especially when they pull the music out. We kind of get this moment of like, wait, but they have to put some sort of ambient music in there to push that story along, because if they didn't have music in there, we would be waiting for some kind of big shoe to drop, if you will.
Out of had toxic notes and had trust issues. My hope for you, honestly, is that you receive a relationship where you don't have to feel like, oh, I need to know if a bitch is talking to my man. Like that's not what.
Okay, this like, I don't know about you guys, but this just made me fall more in love with Candiace than ever. Like, I just think this speech is like the most real thing I've ever probably heard on Housewives ever. Like, just the way that she's just like, yeah, like you have bad behavior because of your situation, and I wish all the best for you so that it will help you not have bad behavior. Like, she's just breaking it down so. Like, what a mature way to think, and what a mature way to put someone in their place. She could have just said like, you know, you think everyone's cheating because, you know, your man is garbage and, you know, he's done all this bad stuff to you. But she doesn't say that at all. She's literally like, I have empathy and sympathy for you, and I understand where you're coming from, and I hope and wish you have better things coming. I'm like, wow. Wow, Candiace, wow.
It should feel like. Because I don't need to know that, because I know my man.
Period.
And I think that is what you.
Loving Dr. Wendy throwing in her.
Period.
I love her. I wish we had a camera on her when she said that. I made me laugh. But I also think, you know, when they cut to Ashley right there, you can kind of see a little bit of emotion in Ashley's eyes. And it just made me feel for her so much, this situation with Michael Darby. On my last episode, I talked to you guys about how, like, you know, Ashley kind of deserves Michael in a way, because people think she's a snake and, you know, he's not the greatest guy. So why do they not deserve each other? Why aren't they like a match made in heaven? And I really didn't mean that like in a shady way. I know you guys were laughing at me saying I was being shady, but I really wasn't. I was just like there's something we don't know. Like, we shouldn't begrudge relationships just because we think one person is better than the other. Like, there's, you know, I really think people stay together. Again, if it's not an abusive situation or it's a, you know, a consensual relationship, people stay together for reasons that, you know, you're never gonna know someone enough. We're never gonna know Ashley enough. But when I see Ashley in some moments, I really feel like she just has worthiness issues. And I'm not a therapist, but I just feel like sometimes she just feels like she's not worthy of the type of love that like Candiace is talking about here. And so seeing her sort of well up like that, I'm just like, I hope it for her too. Like, I hope exactly just the same as Candiace. I hope that she finds that sort of real internal confidence that gets her to find someone that values her, you know, and brings out the best in her. I think, like, if anything, Michael Darby probably made her feel like, you know, the more upstanding one in the relationship, and maybe she hasn't felt like that in the past, and who knows what it's like. But anyway, that moment that the editors put in there of her actually, her eyes kind of look, you know, like they're watering, I thought that was really poignant, and I'm glad that they showed that.
I think that is what you should have.
Okay, I will say that, yes, there have been toxic elements in my relationship.
Real Housewife of Potomac.
Okay, so this felt like a Shady editor moment to me, because she's like trying to be very like diplomatic about it. Like, yes, I will say that there were, right? And the music kind of comes in, and then it's almost like the music comes out and then they kind of let this pause go.
Yes, there have been toxic elements in my relationship.
And I do believe that they left that in on purpose, almost to tell the audience, like, we're not sure what's going to happen. Is Ashley going to keep talking? Is Candiace going to cut her off, right? That pause is really in there. You guys can hear it. And then they transition right to the first thing a court document, right, with him offending, and also a voiceover of like a newscaster or something talking about his offenses. So the editors are like really doing a huge contrast there, showing Ashley being very diplomatic and very, you know, glossing over kind of what's gone down with him. Like, there have been some toxic elements, and then they go right to this court document. It just couldn't be more toxic. And so for her to kind of make it seem like it's no big deal is really funny, and they definitely did that cut on purpose.
Of Potomac's Ashley Darby, well, her husband is apparently groping a cameraman's butt.
I was drunk and a girl came up to me.
So they go from that, and then we get another transition to him, you know, confessing that he took someone into a hotel room without her there. It just keeps getting worse with this guy.
A girl came up to me and we ended up going back to a hotel.
I'm sorry, you did what? Now, I understand that perhaps how I would approach a situation.
And then they get out of that flashback and go straight to Giselle. Almost feels like those flashbacks were like coming from Giselle. I don't know how to explain it, but it just made me laugh, that little going from those to Giselle. I also was surprised that the editors, they really made a choice here. They could have gone so much further with these flashbacks, like her saying, you know, they could have made it funnier because she starts out with like, yeah, there have been some toxic elements, and they could have done the Michael Darby, you know, highlight reel as we all know it, and everything that we think about in our head when we think of Michael Darby, like him laughing with Juan, like, let's go have a bachelor party, and like the pictures of him in the hotel room in his underwear, and like the behind the scenes footage of him actually allegedly groping the cameraman. Like, there's so many moments that they could have put in that were like Michael Darby moments. Oh my God, remember when he was in the car with her telling her that her body looks good like 1 month after she had a baby, and he was like, yeah, you're really looking like you're slimming up. Oh my God, I wanted to reach through the screen and strangle him. But there are just so many moments with Michael Darby they could have put in there, but they really only picked 2, which I thought was interesting. And I really think that they did this on purpose as sort of a, we're not going to make this a really comedic moment, because then it'll pull it out of what it actually is, which is sort of a repairing of the relationship between Ashley and Candiace. Like, that kind of repairing is important to storyline, and if we overshadow it with a big funny montage of Michael Darby being Michael Darby, then we might lose kind of the point of this scene and the sentimentality of it. So I think they made a conscious choice there not to take us down Darby memory lane.
How I would approach a situation is not how you would approach a situation. So I will say that I'm sorry to you if
Very good.
bringing Deborah felt harmful, because it was not.
So after she says sorry, it looks like it's literally like hurting her physically to say this, but she does say it.
I'm sorry to you.
And then they cut to Wendy, and she's like,
Very good.
I wish they had cut to Wendy before when she said that period after Candiace's line. It would have almost felt like Wendy was like a Greek chorus or something, but they, you know, they just did here. And I actually think in that same vein, just like I was talking about before, I think if they had continued to cut to Wendy with her sort of asides, maybe it would have kind of been too comical and overshadow sort of this whole exchange between them. Because I do think, I don't know why, I feel very invested in their relationship. I just feel like there's so much more, I feel like they could learn a lot from each other in a weird way. Like, I feel like their relationship, if they had a good friendship, they would actually benefit each other. Does that sound insane? I don't know.
Harmful, because it was not meant to be harmful.
I just feel like we get to a good place and then you sabotage.
Okay, so, you know, obviously Ashley says, you know, this wasn't meant to be harmful, and I think Candiace is being the bigger person here, and she's like, I'm not, she could get into it and be like, obviously it was supposed to be harmful, you didn't need to bring this girl. It was not set up in a way that feels like you could have pulled me aside privately. You could have done so many other things than have her say this in front of everyone, you know, at a show. Like, obviously, Ashley is not being truthful here. It was meant to harm Candiace. It's definitely trying to get her back for other stuff. But Candiace is being the bigger person, and you can kind of see her like roll her eyes and sort of like, okay, I'm not even gonna go there because it's not gonna land. It's just gonna turn into a fight. And she starts going down the path of sort of their relationship on a holistic basis. Like, every time I start to let you in, something goes down, right? And so she's kind of telling her, like, this is what I have a problem with you on a bigger level. Let's not get into the minutia. And you can hear the music kind of kick in.
We get to a good place, and then you sabotage.
It's a little bit more than it was before, right? Which almost could make us think that there is a fight coming. It feels a little bit more dramatic. It got a little bit louder. It's a little bit more driving. So we as the audience should be like, okay, what is Candiace's comment here going to lead us to?
You sabotage us being able to move forward.
Just remember, the pendulum always swings the other way, okay? It don't feel good, huh?
Aha, there it is.
Now I'm at a place where...
Okay, so they make that flashback because I think that the editors really want to show us and remind us that what Candiace is saying is true. Yes, every time they start to get somewhere, it goes back. But also I think the editors want to remind us of something Candiace didn't quite say there, is that Ashley's got something. There's something, you know, she's resenting there in Candiace, and it's pretty deep. And in that flashback, you can see what she's saying is like, it doesn't feel good when, you know, your marriage is come after, right? Because she feels like, you know, Candiace has come after her marriage, which was Candiace the only one? I feel like everyone's kind of come for the Michael Darby, Ashley Darby marriage, but I'm not 100% sure. I just feel like they wanted to show that flashback to be like, Ashley's got kind of more going here under the hood.
It feels like it's not genuine.
That's fair. I will say that I probably am harboring.
Okay, so while she's saying, again, Candiace, I feel like is being really mature, they cut to Ashley for like a brief second where it almost looks like she's doing that thing like, oh, I'm about to say something. No, that's not what I mean. That's not my intention, but I'm not going to say it. They do that really briefly. I'm really curious why the editors would do that, because I don't know if that moment actually was what was happening during what Candiace was saying. It could fit in there, but it also may not. I don't know. What do you guys think? Why do you think they would put that reaction in there where she's kind of like, no, that's not my intention, or that sort of thing, like trying to make her look like she's innocent in all of this?
Bring some resentment to you because of how insensitive you were at some really difficult times in my life.
There we go.
Monique offered up the microphone to...
So then Ashley finally says it. She says the thing, you know, that the editors had just kind of referred to, saying that Ashley, you know, she's obviously has some deeper seated resentments. And then Ashley finally comes out with it, right? She's like, I've had some resentments. And then Mia says,
there we go.
That was just so funny to me. Just those little asides while any sort of fight or apology is going on, when they keep the asides from the housewives in there, and even when they don't cut to their close-up during it, they make me laugh, and they just make me, I don't know, want to be around these women for the rest of my life. I can't say anything else.
The microphone to have anyone who wanted to share their miscarriage story. And then Ashley took the mic.
It was very hard for me to come to terms with that, and I felt like my body was like working against me.
And it was like...
Okay, so I thought this was a very interesting flashback because this was quite a few seasons ago. It says 3 years ago, so I guess 4 seasons ago. I remember this moment very well. I remember Ashley talking about her miscarriage and stuff at the Monique event, and I remember Candiace talking bad about it. And I think it was just really interesting that they use this as the flashback, because I think a lot of the viewers don't remember this. They remember the Twitter feud, you know, while Ashley was having her baby. They remember a lot of the things Candiace has said about Michael Darby and about Ashley, but they don't remember her like kind of, this was a pretty sensitive moment, not Candiace's best moment. And so the editors want to sort of weigh the argument a little bit better, because I think that they do know that on the whole, like, Candiace is probably being seen in a better light at this time. So they do want to kind of bring us back like, oh yeah, remember, she's not always been your favorite. Things haven't always been perfect from her. And here's an example.
Okay. No tears. But all this, I just don't buy it.
You weren't compassionate about...
Okay, and even the reaction from Giselle, who's like our gossip queen, in that moment with Candiace, she's even doing the thing like, oh, please, let's not do that. Let's not pretend, you know, that we're talking on a microphone on the silverware. It's just not a good look. I remember when I saw that, I was like, Oh yeah, that's right. That is Candiace. That's also Candiace. I mean, 3 years ago, Candiace, people can evolve, people can change, but yeah, it was just a good reminder, and I think the editors, they do that stuff on purpose.
About losing a baby, and here you're trying to get pregnant. I was hoping that like maybe you would even just say, hey, I'm sorry for ever being insensitive during this really trying time in your life.
That's fair.
Can I say something as someone?
Again, the aside from Giselle.
That's fair.
It's just like everyone's got their 2 cents in there, but they don't want to get really into it, but they're definitely like, they're watching the scene unfold and commenting basically like we would be commenting if we were sitting in a room with friends watching this. Although, I don't know. I used to have housewives parties with 2 close friends of mine who absolutely love the housewives as well. And we never like got into it like that. We would always just laugh and make fun of moments, but we were never like watching like, oh yeah, that's fair. Maybe that was just us.
As someone who has hung out with both of you, when all 3 of us together, we have the best of times. The issue is not that you hate each other. The issue is that you're hurt from past dealings.
Such a weird moment to focus on Charisse during that moment, and again, put the chyron of Charisse down there and actually hang on her for a while. Are they trying to imply that Charisse would be jealous of that, or that I have no idea, but I'm always curious, why go to Charisse and why even show her name? Like, obviously they do this when they're establishing someone or when they're reminding us, but by now we know who Charisse is, and for them to kind of indicate it, I don't know, it felt like just to me like they're trying to draw attention to her more in this moment, and I just wasn't sure why. I'd love to hear your opinion.
Feelings? Could you guys possibly just leave it there and move forward the best you can without rehashing old stuff? Because no relationship will be able to.
Okay, so this music here is really interesting.
Move forward the best you can without rehashing old.
To me, this music just doesn't feel very tense. I can't explain it. Like, imagine the scene, watch it over again, and imagine it with no music whatsoever. We might be waiting for a fight between Ashley and Candiace. But with this music in here, to be honest, I think I kind of just like wrote off, okay, the scene is just going to end. And likely, I think it just does kind of end. Check into how the music makes you feel. To me, it kind of feels like just like a vamp, like leading into another scene. It doesn't feel like it's got a lot of tension. It doesn't feel like suspenseful or curious or, you know, invoking curiosity from me. It just kind of feels like background music, and I think they do that on purpose because the scene doesn't really lead anywhere, and it's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it.
To sustain
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, well, that's fair. So we're just gonna let it live. We're baby stepping.
Resuscitation, slowly.
Yeah.
We're gonna let it live, right?
Yes.
We're gonna
Let it live.
plant some seeds. Okay, we gotta go? Okay, all right, guys.
There it is. Okay, so it did that exact thing. That was really the end of the conversation. So they had that sort of vamp music in there. Now imagine if they had put either no music or added some music that felt kind of suspenseful. We as the audience may not trust them the next time they put up suspenseful music or anything like that, because we just would be like, oh, wait, this might not lead anywhere. And this scene really didn't. The final note of it was like, yes, we're gonna leave it behind us. We're gonna try to move on. We're gonna resuscitate and start anew. And then you can hear the music go into an even more like kind of upbeat cue.
Plant some seeds. Okay, we gotta go?
Which is transitioning us to get out of this scene completely and go into the next scene. So that's really it, you guys. I just wanted to do a short one today. This episode to me, although I love all the Potomac episodes, I do feel like this episode was like a bit of a filler episode. Filler episodes in Potomac are the best. They're still great. There's still drama. Stay tuned for my announcement about my live next week. I'm very excited to do that. I really look forward to having you guys there, and until next time.
Period.
That's fair.
There we go. Very good.